Hey class athlete families, this is Coach Stu with a classy message for you after the bumper. Thank you for a great week 2 of soccer. This week I've got 3 things for you and then some minor stuff to talk about. Video will be much shorter, but before we get started, I just want to point out that first of all, my Steelers are kind of stinking it up this season. Hopefully they'll pick up the speed coming up, but my Sooners are kicking some tail and Baker Mania has officially hit the Browns. All right, let's get started with our 3 major things. Number 1, how to beat the heat. We had a lot of families asking us last week about canopies, and we asked a few families to remove them from the fields. So the policy that we have in place in conjunction with the park is to not allow canopies inside the fence. To set the example, we're even going to move our staff canopy outside the fence, even though it was well off the field. And our 2 major concerns with structures like that being in the middle of the field are safety, metal poles and stakes being near the fields where the players are playing, as well as tearing up the fields. We got to make those fields last all year, and as you've seen in certain years, they get torn up with all the play. So what we are going to do is offer you a bunch of different ways to beat the heat, and I'm going to list those off for you so that you know what you can do. First of all, we are offering water breaks. When the temperature gets above 89 degrees, we require the refs to take water breaks, but they have the discretion to take water breaks in each half for every game if they feel like the kids need it. Also sunscreen, we recommend sunscreen, and the park provides free sunscreen outside the fences at the fields. Water fountains are provided for you. Ice is provided for you at the park office, and we also have ice at our tent or canopy, which will now be outside the fence. We have vendors available to you most of the time. Now you've got 2 vendors out there. And we do allow shade devices, but they need to be either outside the fences or they can be just inside the fences as long as they're 5 or more feet away from the fields where the kids are playing, and they don't, pose any other safety risks, and they're not tearing up the fields where even places where we might rotate to the fields. We don't want, so they need to be near the fences. And you're allowed to bring things like this, sport umbrella with a blanket and a chair. You can bring a shaded chair. You could bring a cowboy hat like I wear sometimes. You could wear a white shirt or light clothing. Obviously, as you can see on the blanket there, I've got some sunscreen. We've got umbrellas. You can use big umbrellas, smaller umbrellas. You can bring a cooler full of stuff, drinks, a jug. These are all recommendations that we make for you to beat the heat. Okay, other than that, we do have injury and health stoppages during the game as needed. We'll be providing cool towels as well for sale, but you can bring your own as well. And and obviously bring sunglasses and just do everything you can to beat the heat, but hopefully in the hour to hour and a half or 2 that you're out there, you can do that. All right, hopefully that explains our rules. Number 2 is scoresmanship. So the way the scoresmanship rule works is basically we don't want teams running up scores, and so we put a specific rule in place that basically says when a team gets a 4-goal lead, any multi-goal scorer in that game cannot be in the attacking half of the field. That's the only restriction. Some leagues put other restrictions in place. Some leagues have no restrictions. We feel like this is a good balance. You can put that player on defense in as goalkeeper, or you can substitute them out of the game, but they cannot be in the attacking half. They can be encouraged to play a different role, learn a new skill, help their teammates score, push the ball up to other players that haven't scored. Coaches can give more playing time to those players that normally don't get as much. Obviously, we have a 50% playing time rule as well. Once a team gets to a 5-goal differential, then no goal scorers for that game can be in the attacking half. So some coaches say, well, I've had 4 or 5 people score. Okay, well then those need to be your defenders or defensive midfielders, and don't have them go past midfield. The other players can score. Obviously, you can use them as keepers or substitutes as well. So this rule doesn't prevent a team from scoring 6 or 7 goals or winning by that much, but it does spread the wealth around. It does allow kids to learn new roles, new skills, learn teamwork, supporting their team, and not running up scores, which can be demoralizing to recreational kids that just want to go out and have fun. All right, so we think this is the best balance for the league. Coaches that fail to comply with this will receive a yellow card. I evaluate the scorecards. The minute and the player number is written on the scorecard for every single goal in the sequence that they occur, obviously. So I'll know when there are violations. That coach will get a yellow card, which is basically a warning. If they get a second one, they'll be susceptible to suspension for a game. Number 3 is playing time. We have a 50% playing time rule in our league. If you are seeing that your child is not playing 50% of the game, we do have exceptions for it, such as for bad behavior or excessive missed practices, things like that. But you should communicate with your coach first to find out if there's a reason for the lack of playing time, or if it's close and you're not really sure, maybe wait to see if there's a pattern or if it repeats. But definitely have a conversation with your coach. If that doesn't work out, then please notify a staff member or send an email to stu@classathlete.com, and then we will have staff monitor one of the next 2 games for that team. And if the coach is still violating the playing time rule, they will receive a yellow card and then a red card, just like we're doing for the scoresmanship rule. A few minor things I want to mention real quick are catch class. Thank you for the larger participation in that. Let's continue to make sure that people are filling out the cards, team, the name of the player, and the description of what they did classy, and that gets sent to or emailed to catchclass@classathlete.com by photographing the back of the card. And coaches should be giving those out not for goals scored or for winning, but for things like effort and leadership and learning and classy behavior. Also, 3v3, we're going to extend the early bird registration through Saturday, so you can still get the $40 price. After that, it's going to go up to $45 for about 8 or 9 days till September 30th. And at that point, we hope to have most of the rosters full, and we'll be having a $50 late registration charge. And then the last thing I wanted to mention was that no on-field warm-ups are guaranteed before the game. So please, teams, make sure you get all your warm-ups done outside the fences before your game. If you get a few minutes to warm up on the field before the game, then you're lucky. But once the 3-2-1 pregame process begins with equipment check, captains, and starters, there's no more warm-up activities on the field, and you should have your lineups ready to go. Thank you, and have a great 3rd week. Talk to you soon. That's it. Game over. It's time to scat, my friends. Thank you for listening. If you made it this far, always remember that soccer can be the most fun and life-building sport on the planet if you allow it to be. So, be stupendous and stay classy, my friends.